Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name's Jaden, and if you don't know me, I'll be soon studying dentistry at university. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about time management, but specifically for students in school and sixth form. I was inspired to create this video by people like Ali Abdaal, who showed me really great time management tips, and I want to just share this with everyone and what I've learned. So thank you very much for the idea, Ali, and hopefully everyone watching this will learn at least one thing new for today. Also, I'm outside again, making use of the nice scenery before I leave off to university, so hopefully you don't mind any of the birds chirping or any external noise which is not coming from me. The first point about time management is your mindset, and I believe that everyone makes time for the things they find they want to do at that exact moment. I now don't believe in the phrase "I don't have time," as a few years ago I was one of those people who always complained that I didn't have any time, as I was having to balance a part-time job with school, studying, homework, coursework, researching university applications, whilst maintaining a social life and keeping all my hobbies going. All of these reasons may seem reasonable, but they were just excuses that I was creating for myself. Although I knew they did take up a lot of time, I knew I had more time in my day which I was not being productive, and I was just being very lazy, and I was just blaming everything and all my unproductiveness on these activities. Once you make time for the things you find important and what you actually need to do, you'll find you have so much more time in your day than usual. And one of the techniques I used to find out how much extra time I was wasting was I documented my whole day. And I saw this in a random YouTube video, I can't remember where from, and I recommend everyone who's struggling on finding time to do this as well. I literally wrote down the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. I wrote down every single thing I did that day and how long it took. I found out where my time was going and what I was doing with it, and then I promised myself that I wouldn't let this much time go to waste. But it all begins with a good mindset and the belief that you do have time. You're just choosing to do the thing you want to do at that exact moment. My second tip for sixth form is that you should break down large tasks into smaller ones. So a good example of this might be your personal statement, where you have to pretty much sum up all your life experiences in 4,000 characters. And this may seem quite daunting at first, as you don't know where to start, and some people don't like the idea of writing a statement where you're having to pretty much sell yourself to the interviewer or to your university. So first of all, you want to have a clear goal. So your goal might be to finish a personal statement by, let's say, in 2 months' time or 1 month's time. You basically want to have an introduction, a main body, extracurricular activities, and then a nice conclusion to sum it all up. So by breaking this down into smaller chunks, it seems a lot more reasonable for you to complete it in this time frame, as you only need to focus on little things ahead of you, so you don't feel overwhelmed with the magnitude of the task ahead of you. And speaking of personal statements, I actually started my own website. It's jadenyee.com, and I've actually put my exact personal statement on there that I used to apply to dental school. So if you want to, you can check it out. It does cost a bit of money because I spent a lot of time on it, but I believe it's worth it, and I think and hope you will learn a lot from it if you do decide to purchase it. I'll be making more videos on personal statements in the future though, and using my personal statement, I got all my interview offers from the universities that I applied to, so I think it was quite good, and I'm very confident in the quality of my work. The third time management tip I have, which is easier said than done, is to avoid procrastination. Normally the hardest part, for me at least, is getting started on something. A trick that I use quite often is that I say to myself, I'll only do this thing for 5 or 10 minutes and see where it goes from there. And as I've already broken past this procrastination barrier of getting started, it's a lot easier for me to carry on now and keep my mind in that state of flow, which ultimately benefits you as you get a lot more things done. Another thing I want to talk about procrastination is that if a task takes less than 5 minutes to do, you should just do it now and get it out of the way. I know it's hard to do this, as I always struggle with this. You just need to keep practicing this and keep disciplining yourself, so eventually you won't have to break through this procrastination barrier as hard as you normally would. And hopefully as you do this long enough, there won't be any barrier anymore, so you're able to do whatever you want to do. My fourth tip is quite quick, and it's to just get organised and create to-do lists and checklists for everything you need to do each day. Whether that may be revision and covering separate topics for each subject you do, or it might mean writing essays or completing homework for the next day. There are so many apps you can use to do this and help you plan your day, but you can also just type it online or just write it on paper, which works too. And there's just satisfaction in ticking boxes off and crossing things out when you've done them. And you can almost treat it as a game where you try to tick off as many things as possible. Number 5 is to think ahead and think in the future. You don't want to be thinking in just the present and what's happening tomorrow, but you're also wanting to be thinking what's happening in a few days' time, in a few weeks' time, or even a few months' time to be prepared. Ask yourself what's coming in the next few months, whether that be end of unit tests, uni admissions deadlines, homework due in, or any mocks you may have. Whatever this may be, make sure you stay prepared and stay organised ahead of time, so you can write down the deadlines that everything needs to be done by, so you have sufficient time to work out how much each thing will take. Number 6 is to prioritize your tasks in a list from highest priority to lowest priority. I think that links quite well to a point that Ali Abdaal talked about, and it's called Parkinson's law. And a brief description of this law is that work expands to fill the time that we allocate to it. So you should make this list of priority and give yourself artificial deadlines which you create for yourself. And you should be harsh on yourself and treat these deadlines and priority lists as that you have to do it by this time, which will help you stay motivated and give you that extra push to carry on. Tip number 7 is another simple one, and it's to hide your phone or any other distractions you may have around you. It's really hard to concentrate when your phone is buzzing every so often, as you're always having to look and you'll always be distracted. And whenever you say you'll take a 5-minute break, you might take a 10 or 15, or even not do any more work for that day as you've got distracted, all because of one notification. Apps like Forest may be able to help this, and I use this through GCSEs and A-levels, where you're planting this tree, and if you leave the app on your phone for any notification or anything else in general, the tree will die and it doesn't look very nice in your forest that you create. So it's like a little mental trick that the app uses to help you stay motivated and carry on. And you can also plant trees with friends, so if one person goes off, then all of your trees die. This app does cost a little bit of money, but if you will use it, then I believe that it is worth the investment. But another alternative is watching things like Study With Me's, where in real time you're studying with someone else who's on the other side of a screen, and you can keep up with their breaks and their study sessions. So you feel motivated and you won't feel lonely whilst you're revising. Number 8 is about time blocking, and I'll be probably talking more about this in a later video, but when you're creating a nice revision timetable, you'll be wanting to give yourself more time than you think you need to be flexible. I don't plan every single event that I do in a day, but I plan the most important ones and the things that I need to do regularly, for example making videos. And let's say one video takes me half an hour to an hour to film, so I'd give myself maybe an hour and a half of flexible time, and this is to ensure for any technical difficulties or problems I may run into whilst recording videos, such as audio, setting, equipment, things like that. And these time blocks that you set to yourself don't need to be strict, and I like to use them as guidelines for when you should be doing each thing. So yeah, you don't need to stick religiously to your timetable, you just use it as a general guide to get you going in the right direction. Number 9 is also a similar tip, but a really important part of getting good time management, especially in sixth form, is creating time for the things you enjoy doing. Whether that be browsing social media, playing video games, playing sports, talking, going out with your friends, making YouTube videos. It's really important that you make time for yourself and the things you enjoy, so you don't burn out and you feel like you have a balanced lifestyle, as I know how hard and stressful school can be. You should always treat yourself every once in a while, and even if you don't get something done in time, you shouldn't feel bad about it, as you can't change the past, but you can change the future. So for next time, just figure out in your own mind what you need to do, and if you keep trying this over long periods of time, you will get better. Point number 10 is to always have a goal in mind. Whether you're studying for A-levels, studying for GCSEs, or wanting to complete university, I believe that having a firm goal in the back of your mind is always one of the big keys to success. And whenever you're doing work and you're feeling unmotivated, or you're feeling that you don't have enough time, you should always remind yourself that everything you're doing at that moment is getting you closer to your goal. You are the maker of your future, and you can choose to be satisfied with the things you've completed that day, or you can choose to be unhappy. In my opinion, you should always try and feel as optimistic as possible, as even though you may have revised for 2 hours, you may be quite annoyed at yourself that you didn't revise for 4 or 5 hours. But what I've learned from my experiences at A-levels is that consistent work over long periods of time get you to where you want to be in the future. Everything you do now will help you to the next step forward, and it builds up like compound interest. Time management is all about yourself and what you choose to do with your time. So make every second count and think about how you're trying to get closer to your goal. I think that wraps up everything in this video, so if you have any suggestions on videos or topics you'd like me to cover in the future, please list them down in the comments below. I will try to read as many of them as I can. Hopefully you learned something or found something useful. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you everyone for your support so far. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, but even if I don't, I'm wishing everyone who sees this the best of luck in everything you choose to do. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.